All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 5 of the ALR Gran Turismo 7 GT3 Championships. This is round 5 of Tier 6 at Fuji International, the no chicane layout. As you can see on your screen, the chicane has been blocked off. So in the 15 turns, I think, in this configuration of the track. Yeah, welcome. This is first of the Japanese triple header. We'll be visiting Tokyo Expressways and Autopolis after this. Those broadcasts are yet to be readied up, so you just got this one for today. But anyway, we'll give it a couple minutes, let everyone come into the stream. Welcome to the people that are already in. Start off though, shall we, with the good old quality results, as per usual. I need to change my audio output. That's still coming through my speakers. 1 second. Alrighty. So this is how qualifying shook out for Fuji. Of course, Mr. Efrig, or Ollie, in P1. By quite a way this time. He's in P1 by almost 7/10 of a second from Inorganic, taking up the second position. Becker's the second Golden Subaru, lining up just behind his teammate in P3. Gr3 taking the second spot on the second row. Dirty 63 Jan making up the third row, and Lord Hans the seventh and final driver winner, second of Ollie. Dr. Hobo P8, the Birds P9, and Fudo rounding out the top 10. Then we have Autismus, Crackavelli, Harshilk, TJR, a new driver for this week, Falcon, returning from last week, and John Orodea making up the final 6 drivers. That is your qualifying grid. We'll be going to the sprint race in a short moment. I need to get that ready, but yeah, welcome in. What are we expecting today? Eh? Fuji can rain in Fuji, but it's not scripted wet race, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, no, I'm expecting craziness. It's not the easiest track, at least I find anyway, especially that third sector. A lot of off-camber turns, a lot of different lines you can take. We'll be seeing a lot of what all these drivers can be doing today. Let's get on with it, shall we? Hopefully my microphone sounds alright. Hopefully everything does sound fine. On that note, let's us get into the race, shall we? Starting off with the sprint race, 10 laps around Fuji. Here we go then. As the 5 lights are on for the grid start. The lights are out, away we go. Ollie leading his teammate. Inorganic immediately taking P1 from Ollie, getting a much better start there as we head down into turn 1. He's already a car's length ahead. Becker's going for a big lunge on the inside. Doesn't make it stick. Gets P1 for a second, but goes too wide down that turn. Looks like we've made out relatively... Never mind. I spoke too soon. What happened? Someone has spun out. On with Autismus. He doesn't have an issue. Is it Fudo? It is not. It is. Who is that? I think that is the Citroen. I think that is the Citroen. Hang on. Can we find him? It is the Citroen. It is the Citroen of TJR88 going off in turn 1. He is already down into P16 and a long way now already. We're only 2 turns into the race. Madness. We're on now, jumping back to the front of the field. Inorganic still leading the way from Ollie, who he took from. But Ollie looking to potentially make a move around the outside. Does take P1 for a second, but can't make it stick. Inorganic getting the better line through that turn 6. Inorganic still leading the way from the 2 Subarus. Ollie, though, right on the bumper. Will not want to finish this position any lower than where he started as he goes onto the racing line. Inorganic having to hold the inside. Gets a slightly wider exit than he probably would have liked, but blocks off the exit for Ollie. Still leading by quite a way. I forgot that it's not the no chicane. I forgot. Is it a Peugeot? Did I say Citroen? I'm an idiot. Leave me alone. They're all French to me. Inorganic. Still P1. Ollie now, a little bit of a gap ahead of him now that he's got to close. And his teammate making a move on the inside. The 2 Golden Subarus chasing down their target of Inorganic in the Citroen. In the Citroen. At least I get that car right. And another Citroen. Oh no, that's Ian in a Honda. Why did I think he was driving this? No, the Citroen's right behind him. There we go. It's been a minute, alright? Leave me alone, I'm tired. Pusher bringing up P5 with a bit of open air either side of him. Looks like no moves are going to be made up front. Well, Tisma's potentially trying to make a move, does not go for it on Damon. Still stays just behind the Alfa Romeo, but does open the door slightly for Fudo now to potentially make a move in the monster Audi. And behind those top 8 drivers, another big gap is forming behind them. Fudo not making any moves. He was just going to bide his time for a little bit. HK looks like he's having some lag issues as he looks like he goes wide and then jolts straight back onto the track. The 2 Ferraris though doing a nice job in P9 and P10. Got a lot of gap to make up, but they're leading this second train by quite a way. Gum making a move on HK, I believe, taking P11 now. HK is jittering all over the track. That is not safe for any of the drivers around him. All those other drivers will want to be careful. Falcon up into P12, I believe, makes a nice little lunge there in the Citroen. Not the Citroen. Why is everything a Citroen today? In the Toyota, in the nice Red Bull Toyota. Saw the Alfa Romeo in the background going a bit wide. That is another car that's gone a bit wide. I'd like to see what happened there. That is... Well, first of all, Damon's off. Inorganic. Wait, hold up. Hold the phone. Something's happened. Inorganic going wide. Looks like he caught a little bit of grass and just oversteered it. And that is Inorganic in a barrier. The 2 Subarus now back in front. As he rejoins. No, struggles to rejoin. Catches another little spin there and emerges up in P7. That is Autismus spinning in this turn. So look, he gets past. He has Fudo on his outside. But he just leaves himself too little space on the right, catches the grass and spin. That causes the loss of traction and the spin. Emerging back on track in P13, just next to Birds. Is on the outside, so probably won't get this position back. That is unfortunate from Autismus. Falcon now. Definitely not at all biased towards Falcon. HK still going wide a little bit and jittering a lot over the place, but holding himself alright. Ollie picks up the first purple lap of the race. Oh my god, this is going to be an interesting one to commentate with this guy going crazy. So we jump forward throughout the field. Looks like everyone's being very well behaved now. A lot of the initial battles are shaken out. Let's go towards the back as we have Ayrton Jenner on the rear of the Peugeot. I got it right that time. Makes a nice dive into turn 1. Gets that P15 from TGR. But TGR looking potentially to make another pass as we come through turn 2 into turn 3. Not quite. He's going to hang off the back. Potentially have a look on the outside now as we go through 100R, through turn 4 and turn 5, but nothing being made. Damon and Autismo still battling now. Lower down in the field though. Damon going kind of wide, catching the grass. That is another car. That is, I believe that was an Audi. HK just all over the place and catching some grass and sending it into the gravel trap on the exit at turn 6. That's unfortunate for him. He is now taking last position. Ollie, I thought he was off track then for a second. I don't know why. Still leading by a quite decent margin on his teammate. Ian still chasing down the 2 golden Subarus. Not quite got enough of a gap to make any moves yet. Foreign pusher sliding a little bit as we go through turn 12. And Fudo still trying to get a little bit of a gap. The leading Audi driver currently. Inorganic, the second Citroen driver, wanting to recover from his pretty unfortunate incident last lap. He has the pace and he knows he has the pace to beat the 2 drivers in first and second, but does he have the pace to catch them up in only 6 or 7 laps time? So a tall order from the Citroen driver. Cracavelli picking up a half-second penalty. Falcon got a lot of space in front, not quite as much behind. We're going to go back to the cinematic camera, shall we? Falcon picks up his best lap of the race so far, up in P8. That is a pretty good drive from him so far. He qualified down in P15, so all the way up to P8 in 3 laps. Pretty good work from the South African there. Gum still though giving chase to Falcon, not far away as we go through turn 3 now. Got to be feeling the pressure. Has Falcon. Bird's rounding out the top 10, just behind his teammate, but has Damon on chasing him. Not quite on his bumper yet, but we'll start feeling Damon breathing down his neck as we go down through turn 6, through turn 7, on our way through 300R to the Dunlop corner. TGR, the Peugeot driver, a new driver this week, up to P12 now. The back of the grid earlier on. Got Airtown Jenna chasing him, not quite close enough to make any moves, but we've seen these two battling already a little bit. HK down in P14. I'm going to assume Hans and Banana have had an issue earlier on because of their gap and because Hans was quite a way forward before. Now he's down in 15th, and Autismus is in last. That's unfortunate for these two drivers. That is a penalty picked up by Autismus, probably for track limits there. Jumping back forward as we start lap 5, or Ollie starts lap 5, still holding the fastest lap with a 1:36.1. Leading the way by quite a margin. What an outstanding driver. Already picked up a plethora of wins throughout this season. Has the Swiss man. I can't speak today. You get the point. But his teammate, still another well-decorated driver in this tier so far. Both these drivers surely have secured the constructors already. Ian, though, not letting them go without a fight. He has a bit of a gap to close, but it's not impossible. Just has to keep it clean and keep that Honda engine going. 4N Pusher has now a big gap in front of him to close to Ian. Probably not the easiest thing to close in the world, considering how fast we've already seen the top 3 drivers have been this season. Fudo has Inorganic on his rear bumper now. Inorganic having a look on the inside, does not quite make it work. Will he make a move now through turn 14, through next corner? No, he will not, but it looks like he's got a better exit than Fudo. Going up the inside into the final turn. Has P5 from Fudo and pushes Fudo. No, he doesn't. He gets in front of him before he can push him off the track. That is Inorganic into P5, but Fudo right on his bumper. This is the battle of the race right now. We're just going to jump back a little bit, though. We've got Captain Falcon now 7th. CI Falcon, I don't know. Falcon in 7th, but Damon with the toe has taken that from him. Will be on the racing line as well for turn 1 as we start lap number 6, and both have gum in their rear mirrors. As we see Damon, Falcon and Gum all make their way through turn 1. Looks like no incidents. Falcon on the inside. For a brief moment picks up P7 again, but does not have the exit speed to keep it. Damon back into P7. Gum still following very closely, hoping to get a good pass on these two drivers while they're battling. Falcon goes wide through 100R. Keeps his pace though, and now goes to the outside of Damon into the hairpin of turn 6. Potentially looking at a switchback. There we go. Great move from Falcon there. Picking up P7 from Damon. Gum now profiting off the battle as he is on the outside of Damon. Coming into turn 10 and the other Lexus driver. Oh, that is a push from Gum. Gum pushes Falcon off the track and Falcon gets reset by the game. Unfortunate for the South African. He's lost 4 positions there. Almost about to be 5, I believe. That's unfortunate. I think that's pretty aggressive driving. We're going to watch that again. We're going to watch that from the onboard. From Gum. So you see him already got P8 from Damon thanks to speedy loss. Goes late braking, pushes Falcon very wide. And that causes Falcon to get reset by the game. That's really unfortunate for him. Gum's still holding P7 though, so he makes the move work, although dirty as it is. We're going to jump back a little bit now to Birds, his teammate, who profited off this as well. So you see Damon braking early, Gum being too aggressive and pushing Falcon so wide. That is brutal. So both Gum, Birds and Damon pick up a free position from that. And then Birds picks up another one on the inside of Damon as we go through turn 12. Great. Good work from Birds. I'm really unfortunate for Falcon. Gum then gets a snap of oversteer a couple turns later. Gonna jump back a little bit as we see TJR in the Peugeot rounding the final corner of lap 6, picking up P10 from Falcon, who's now down to 11th. That is so unfortunate for Falcon, who was running such a good race up from P15 to P7. Just pushed wide by an overzealous American. Nah, but fair enough. So we got Gum going down into the turn 1. Damon gets a position back from the birds up into P8. 3 drivers running a nice little small train there. We're going to jump back a little bit again. Falcon still in 11th, leading from Ayrton Jenner and the laggy HK. God, my voice is destroyed. Lord Hands down in P14 from, I'm going to assume, an earlier incident, but got plenty of open air to work with both in front and behind, as we have Autismus and Crackavelli bringing up the last 2 positions. That's unfortunate for both Ferrari drivers who were in the top, or just on the cusp of the top 10 earlier, now 14th and 16th. Unfortunate for both of those drivers. Jumping on board now again with Ollie as he's rounding the final turn on lap 7, leading by a good margin from Beckers now. Also his teammate, and Ian P3 another good distance away from both Subarus now. Looks like this is going to be how the top 3 finish, unless something crazy happens. It's Fuji, you never know. Something crazy could happen. Pusher got a large gap to close still. I don't think that's going to close, so Pusher holding on to P4, probably comfortably going to finish there. And Organic up to P5 now. I believe he dropped down to P7 earlier. Nice to get a good couple positions, but not where he'd want to finish, especially after that opening couple laps. Fudo on P6. Gum still holding P7, a lot of gap to close ahead of him, but he has opened a big gap behind him to Damon and his teammate, the Birds. Gonna jump on board with them as Damon's still leading the Birds. Quite comfortable margin, but still has the Birds close enough that one wrong move could drop Damon yet another position in this sprint race. TGR rounding out the top 10. Will be starting P1 if the race was to finish now in the feature race. HK still, jittering all over the place, but comfortably in P11 for the time being. Airtown Jenner goes quite wide through 100R, opens the door for Falcon, who goes to the outside of Jenner. Does not quite have the pace. Maybe, or we'll see what happens here as he goes to the outside of Jenner again through 300R in turn 9. Goes on, gets pushed onto the grass. Hold up, that's a bit of hip and shoulder there, it looks like. And lack of traction, goes wide again. The same spot where he got reset, and he gets reset again. It's all going wrong for Falcon. You can only feel sorry for the guy. He's gets bumped off earlier and then gets bumped off again. He's shown some great pace and some great racecraft, but just the unfortunate incidents have really hindered him, and the game, that one area where he goes wide and then gets reset, that's really unfortunate for Falcon, who has shown great pace, but unfortunately just has not kept out of trouble. It's now down in P14. It's unfortunate, but that is racing. For those who don't know, Falcon was my first teammate when I first joined ALR, so I'm a little bit biased. I want to see the guy do well. Jump back. Crackavelli and Bananas bringing up the rear 2 positions, and we go jump back forward. Oh my, hold up. It's gone from bad to worse for the Falcon. What happened? I'm going to assume that's a controller disconnect. I'm going to assume that's his wheel disconnected or a controller disconnect, or something has gone wrong technologically. Something has broken. Because he veered off into the grass, into the barrier, on the straight. It hurts to see. It does. It absolutely hurts to see. But that is Falcon's race effectively over, as he's now very far away from the driver in front with only 2 laps left to go. Jumping back though to Ollie, rounding the final corner for his penultimate lap. Goes quite wide on the exit there. Still leading by a comfortable margin. I'm gonna stick on board with this guy for a minute. Give him his flowers, shall we? because he has run an absolutely incredible race. The gap between Beckers and Ian has closed. You can see on your map there in the top right. So there could be a battle emerging there for P2. Becker's the favourite to win that. Ian, though, has shown some immense pace already in the races that he has run. But Ollie just running it like it's a time trial. He has absolutely, comfortably stamped his mark on Fuji this sprint race. He only has about 10 more turns before he claims the race win for the sprint race here in Fuji. Let's jump back though a little bit. Becker's still leading Ian. He's got a good margin, but Ian's been closing. We'll see how Ian's doing, especially now his tyres are looking a lot better than Becker's. We'll see what happens as we go through the second half of this final lap. Pusher got so much space in front of him and his teammate behind him. He should be both of these Citroen drivers should be very, very comfortably P4 and P5 finishing. Fudo also with plenty of open air. Can see the drivers in front, but probably does not have the time to close the gap. Got Damon. Gum making a move on Damon. Has the inside, but Damon has the pace on the exit as we go through the hairpin through turn 6. Through turn 7, Gum does pick up P7 from Damon as we go back on the right-hander of turn 8. And now through turn 9 of 300R. Damon now picking up P7 again. He has the lead into the corner. Holds the line and holds the 7th position. Couple battles unfolding, but the one man we need to give our flowers to, the Swiss man, Ollie, claiming the checkered flag by a comfortable margin from his teammate, who finishes P2, and Ian in the Honda finishing P3 for this sprint race. The two Citroens, I got it right this time, the Citroens of 4N Pusher and Inorganic finishing P4 and P5, Fudo finishing P6, with a lot of gap between them. This has been one of the biggest gapped sprint races I've ever seen in my life. Damon finishing P7 from the two Lexuses of Gum and the Birds, P8 and P9. HK lagging his way to the finish line as he picks up the 10th position. Will be signed P1. TJR just missing out on that 10th position in 11th. Hans 12th, Airtown Jenna 13th, 14th is Krakovelli, and bringing up the rear, unfortunately for Banana or Autismus, Fit crossing the line in P15, the only AMG driver left for the rest of the season. And it hurts to say it. It hurts to see it. But Falcon, my boy. Some great driving from him earlier on in the race, getting himself up to P7 from P15 start. Unfortunately, too many incidents with other drivers has dropped him quite significantly back from the rest of the field and finished him in P16. Unfortunate for the South African, but that is the way racing goes. That is how the sprint race ended up. 1 minute and 30 seconds between P1 and P16. Crazy how big the gaps were in a 10-lap sprint race. Fuji proving to be an absolutely incredible track for some racing. 16 minutes finish time for Mr. Ollie in the Golden Subaru. Becker's picking up the 2nd position, of course. The Golden Subarus running away with the championship completely on their own. What can the rest of the field do? Jan putting up a good fight in the Honda NSX, finishing P3. Dirty 63 finishing P4 with his teammate in Organic P5 behind him. And Fudo finishing P6. Top 6 drivers within 20 seconds of each other, and then you have a 9-second gap behind that to Krilly 74 finishing P7. Dr. Hobo finishing P8. Birds finishing P9. Harshilk finishing P10. And that is the finishing positions for the sprint race. Now, of course, if you're new here, which I'm going to assume nobody is, the way we work in ALR, the top 10 drivers at the end of the sprint race, they get reversed, and that sets the grid for the feature race. So Harshilk I2 will be starting P1, and Ollie will be starting P10 for the feature race, where we go for... Hold up, let me check my notes. 25 laps of Fuji, 5 times tyre wear, 3 times fuel wear, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think I am, though. That is how it's looking. Why is my Discord giving me notifications? I thought I put myself on Do Not Disturb. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, that was very distracting. Feature race time, ladies and gentlemen. Feature race time. HK starting on pole position. But Ollie, by far the favourite of this season to win it all. Got 10 positions to make up before he claims that P1. Can he do it? He probably can. We'll see what some strategies are as we make our way around. But let's get started with feature race at Fuji Speedway. Or we would if my bloody stream deck worked. Hell yeah. Let's go. Anyway, that was not as smooth as I wanted it to be. HK leading the pack from the Birds and Gum, the two Lexuses, as we are ready to go racing with a rolling start at Fuji. Here we go, HK. What happened? What's happened? Good jump. Okay, so HK veering off and then disappearing. Okay, so HK just disconnected. Okay, so the Bird has taken P1 with Gum, his teammate, right behind. That was a very interesting start. P1 and P2 now being held by both Lexuses. That's really unfortunate for HK, who has unfortunately DNF'd this race. Looks like, though, no incidents, or maybe an incident. Hang on. As we jump back. That is Mr. Autismus going quite wide into turn 1. And a large gap forming, led by the Ferraris to the rest of the pack. That is the first big train of separation being made only 2 turns into the race. And Autismus, unfortunately, with that late braking into turn 1, quite far adrift down in P15. The Bird's in P1 still, I believe. Yeah, the Bird's holding P1 from his teammate, who is now holding it from Damon. We've seen the Lexuses and the Alfa Romeos battling quite a bit in the sprint race already. Got a pretty decent enough gap from Fudo, though, who's chasing them down. Fudo goes off the grass, goes wide. That is Is that reminiscent of the incident we saw in the sprint race? Let's follow along with Inorganic. We're going to go for a third-person camera view of this. We've got Fudo here being chased by Inorganic. So not a contact being made, but both Fudo and Inorganic going wide. Inorganic, unfortunately, just putting too much power on while on the grass. Not in the wall, so not as bad as before, but has still lost a lot of positions to an incident very reminiscent of the one that he did in the sprint race. That is unfortunate for him, dropping all the way down to P14 from a P6 start. Damon making a position on Gum. I want to say Gum may have had an issue there, may have had a snap of oversteer or something, but Damon making a good position on Gum and now challenging Birds for the lead. We've got Fudo on the rear bumper of Gum with a nice little bit of draft, making his way down one of the longest straights in Gran Turismo. One of the longest racing straights in this calendar, at least. Fudo making a good move on Gum into the braking zone at turn 1. Still brakes later than Gum. Goes wide, goes deep in the braking zone, but holds it off. Hang on, what happened there? So we got Fudo braking later than Gum, going wide, but Gum getting spun around by Ian. Oh no! So Gum gets spun around by Ian and loses so many positions. That looks like he's down towards the back of the pack, and now Ian in P4 with both the Golden Subarus already up to P. So the P1, 2 and 3 finishes the last race already P6, P5 and P4 after a lap and 4 turns. Becker's going for a little bump on Ian, pressuring him as Becker's goes quite wide and a couple wheels dipping off the track there through 100R. Ollie pressuring Ian, both the Golden Subarus not giving him a moment to breathe. But Ian still maintaining his composure, getting away as we see the Lexus and the Alfa Romeo P1 and P2 making their way away from the field, trying to get as much distance as possible while the rest of them are scrapping. Becker's, Ollie, Ian, the 3 name favourites of this tier right now. Becker's Having a look on the inside of his teammate, but not going for anything too crazy as both of them make their way around Sector 3 comfortably. That is a spun car. Hold the phone. Jumping back to both Ferraris, we've got, first of all, the Peugeot. So it's not the Peugeot. Oh, it's another Citroen in the same spots doing something similar. Remind me never to drive a Citroen at Fuji. Remind me never to drive a Citroen at Fuji. So that is 4M pusher down all the way to the last, unfortunately for him. Yeah, Gum also went down to last from that incident earlier in the lap. Now making a pass on Autismus. Pushing him, going kind of wide there, but nothing too crazy. Picks up P13 and holds it through that turn. Falcon having a look on the inside of Airtown Jenna, but doesn't make a move yet. Inorganic chasing. But Falcon now got 2 cars to get a drag from Airtown Jenna and Lord Hans ahead. Hoping to make a good move for him there. Hans got a decent gap ahead of him, so he's got his punch in the air for all the cars behind. Crackavelli still got plenty of. Oh my god, I can't speak. Got plenty of open air around him. And is chasing down. You can see the drivers that were doing so well in the sprint race already. TJR starting from 11th is up into 7th, doing a good run from him already. Chasing down. He's got good markers, to be fair. He's got the two fastest drivers in this tier of Beckers and Ollie, the 2 golden Subarus. He's chasing them down, seeing what they do, and just keeping close. As Beckers and Ollie keeping some great driving between them as they're both working together to try and chase down that lead. See the gap between Ollie and Ian growing a little bit as Ian picks up a purple through 2 sectors. We are only in the 3rd lap, so we'll see what happens. Looking at tyres though, because I haven't actually looked at tyres yet. Ian's on the mediums, Fudo is on the hards, so Ian should be able to make a easy-ish pass here if he gets it done earlier than later, because those tyres will run out of effective range a lot sooner, but right now they should be a lot faster. So it looks like he goes to take a slightly wider line than Fudo. Fudo right on the bumper of Birds. That has to have slowed him down. We'll see how much these drivers work together. They may not be on the same team, but if they get a good bump draft, they can work together, get themselves further in front of the field before the chasers of the 2 golden Subarus, the Honda behind them, catch up. Fudo though looking to make a move on the inside of Birds as we come back into turn 1 and start at lap 4. Fudo on the inside of Birds, no gap between them, and Fudo makes it stick. Now Fudo challenging Damon for the lead. Birds P3 holding off the Honda at P4. Honda in P4 of Ian. Fudo picks up a purple sector 1. Beautiful. Almost 4 turns quicker in 1 turn basically. Great work from him. Damon though, with all the tussling behind him, has gained quite a decent gap of air behind him. Uses all of the track and then some through hairpin at turn 6, 7. Ian, the P3 finisher of last race, already challenging for the P3 in this race. Shown plenty of pace in the races that he has run, and of course he is, or at least was, a reserve driver for a couple races. Not quite sure if he's a full-time driver by this point, but has already proven to be a very fast driver and one of the only drivers that can really pose a threat to the absolute domination of Ollie and Beckers so far this season, as he looks to make a move already barely on the straight, and Ian's already looking to make a move on Birds as they are wheel to wheel coming through the start finish straight along the timing line to start P5, lap 5, not P5. Oh my lord, I can't speak. Let's go for a little bit of third person. Look at how close these 2 drivers are. Ian getting slightly later braking, making a move for the inside. That's potentially catching Fudo. Nothing crazy. Gets a bump from Birds on the back as he covers off the inside line. Fudo catching a snap of oversteer, but still leading. Ian taking P3 from Birds there. Great work from him. Now Birds is under threat from the golden Subaru of Ollie. Oh my lord. I need some cough medicine. Birdslow now trying to make a move back on Ian as gets very aggressive on the rear bumper of Ian. almost spinning him out, also almost making a pit maneuver, but Ian keeps hold of it, and Ollie now profiting from Birds' mistake there. That is Ollie and Ian almost back onto the podium within 5 laps of racing, and the Birds getting all of the elbows out and then some, even a couple knives out at this point, trying to get as good a position as possible. We've seen him be already one of the most aggressive drivers this race so far, or this race weekend so far, I should say. Let's jump back to TJR, who's now holding P6 from Beckers. Beckers needs to make a good pass soon to keep up with his teammate. Potentially has a look on the inside of TJR there, not quite, but back on the rear bumper as we go down the long straight towards the timing line to start the next lap. Cracavelli picking up a half-second penalty behind. Will not serve it yet. Will be serving it on the next lap. Lord Hands following his teammate, but got a quite big gap to close. In fact, a very big gap to close. And Falcon looming in the background in the new beautiful Red Bull Toyota car, holding up P10 from a P16 start, I believe he started in. So, again, Falcon on raw pace alone, showing that he belongs in this tier, that he can belong at the front of the pack. Just needs to show it and keep it clean by, you know, sorry. Thought process left my head halfway through me saying it, but Falcon's got the pace. That's what I'm saying. Just needs to get the good starting positions to keep himself out of trouble, but Falcon is doing a good job at gaining positions, keeping himself out of trouble at the early stages of this race on the racing medium tyres. Has got Gum behind him though. It was a Lexus that finished him last race, but it was not this Lexus. We'll see how he fares against Gum. I believe it wasn't this Lexus, correct me if I'm wrong. Hands though still holding P9. Looks like no major incidents now though, as Cracavelli still with that half-second penalty. Has not gained any more though. That's good to see, but will be serving it shortly. He's got a decent gap behind him, so will not lose position, but still it will hurt not to have as much of a tow from the car in front. In fact, he'll probably lose the tow from the car in front. TJR lost the position, lost P6 to Beckers, who's now got his teammate right in front, but not quite close enough to get a good assist from Ollie as he's trying to make his move on the Birds, who got a position back from him earlier in the race, it seems like. On board with Ian now, who's trying to make a move on Fudo. We've seen Ian charging so far as he makes it on the inside, goes later on the brakes, but Fudo looking for the switchback. Fudo makes the switchback work into turn 1, holds his line into turn 2, and is back in front of Ian. Great effort from Ian, but Fudo, the defensive king already. Both drivers, I believe? No, Fudo on the hards. Maybe Ian's tyres are already out, starting to get worse than the hards. We'll see what happens as Ian potentially makes a move on the outside, but not quite. Does Ian go for the switchback now? No, he does not. Fudo still holding P2. Great battling from these two drivers. Damon, though, building his lead while the rest of the field just squabble with each other, really. Damon's having a nice old time back there. Ollie's still trying to get himself past Birds in the background, but we are focused in right now on the Honda NSX driver of Ian, whatever. I don't know what he's called on the thing, you know. Anyway, Ian. Failed move on Fudo before. Fudo still keeping P2 throughout the whole lap after that turn 1. Catching a little bit of grass on the inside of turn 14 there. But still keeping a plenty of gap. Ian potentially going for a wider line there in a later apex. Does he pick up enough speed to get past him early on? Doesn't look quite like it. Hang on. 117. Well, yeah, looks like Ian's running slightly faster. Got the draft down through the back straight as we cross the timing line. Ian looks again to go to the inside as we cross the timing line. Start lap 8. Ian taking P2 already before the braking zone of turn 1. They're both wheel to wheel. What was going to happen here? Fudo takes the P2 back, but Ian's still holding the inside. Can he defend the inside this time? He does. Fudo, no switchback for Fudo as Ian holds P2. He finally gets the move done on Fudo. Now Fudo's going to want that position back, but of course Ian on the fast compounded tyres, but Fudo on the longer lasting compounded tyres. We're 8 laps into the race already. Has Ian already used too much of his tyres, too much of the effective range of them? As you see, back behind us though, Ollie and Beckers. I'm going to jump back a second though, because just 2 turns ago, Saw them coming out. Ollie gets the position on Birds, but Birds has the inside. We'll see what happens here. Birds would have to break earlier into this left-hander. Ollie goes quite wide, and so does Beckers. And then gives the Birds a little bit of hip and shoulder, but I believe would have cut the track limits there. Yes, does pick up a half-second penalty, unfortunately. Gives the Birds a nice little hip and shoulder out wide as he rejoins the track. Doesn't unfortunately pick up a half-second penalty, but that is both of the Golden Subarus picking up the position from the Lexus, who was really going for it on the defence there. Now Ollie back into P4. Fudo yet to pass before he gets to Ian. Becker's is splitting the gap between Ollie and the Birds, but has that half-second penalty. Will most likely, because of where the penalty line is on this track, will lose this position to the Birds again. So we'll have to reclaim it later on in the race. Hopefully without getting a penalty next time. As the Birds looks like he's going for a more tighter line than Becker's. Will it work for him? He's close enough. Yeah, no, Birds will be getting his position back here. That's unfortunate for Becker's, but gave us a great fight in the meantime. Hang on. Wait, have I just... No, there we go. Birds making the pass there now. But Becker's only serving a half-second penalty, so not quite bad enough to get him out of the fight. Go watch. Does Becker's make an absolute hero move into turn 1? No, he does not. Will stay on the back of Birds, but Ollie's still holding P4 comfortably and gaining quite a bit of a gap now as we go through turn 1 and turn 2. Starting our 9th lap. Jumping back a little bit, looks like a bit of a rejoin from Cracavelli. I'm not sure what happened there, but TGR still in 8th. Cracavelli now in 7th. Hans now in P9th. And Falcon right on the rear bumper of the Ferrari driver in 10th. Up from 16th, of course. HK no longer on the track with a disconnect early, like right on the start of the race. That's really unfortunate for him. Does mean that Falcon, though, is now taking P9. Beautiful work from Falcon. Using all the track on the exit as well. Hans wants to try and get that position back in a battle between a Toyota and a Ferrari. I would not say I'd ever have thought of I'd be seeing a battle between those two brands before. Falcon's 6/10ths better than his fastest through 2 sectors, using all the track and then some on the exit of turn 10. Going around next corner, turn 13, I believe. Using all of the track. This man is he's paid all of the money for Gran Turismo. He's going to use all of Gran Turismo. Hans, though, getting a little bit of toe down into the straight as we start lap 10 shortly. That'll be enough to get Hans back into the battle. I don't believe it will be, but Gum on the rear bumper of Hans. Will he make the pass? I also don't believe he has the pace, but he does have a bit of a toe, so the gap will close for this next lap. Maybe we'll see a battle between the Lexus and the Ferrari this lap. We'll see what happens. Jumping back in organic, unfortunately recovering from an incident earlier, similar to what he had in the sprint race, now back into P12. Did drop lower than that, so he's recovering a little bit, but it is not a lot of recovery. Autismus running on very worn medium tyres now. We'll see what happens to him. Airtown Jenna, also similar story. Still going faster though, so maybe they're still quite effective, or maybe he just had a good turn 1 pusher trying to pressure Jenna, but both these Citroens really unfortunate for them. Losing out on a lot of positions from earlier incidents down in turn 10, that Dunlop corner. Damon, though, leading the field, but Ian now closing the gap. Damon had a lot of space behind him only a couple of laps ago. Now it's about a couple of seconds. We can see both cars in one camera frame for once. Don't think we've seen much of that yet. Ian, though, it looks like Ian will be going into the pits. We'll see what he comes out on later on, but finishing his medium stint after 10 laps. Fudo opting to continue, picking up P2 again from Ian. And Ollie now into the podium positions. Becker's just behind, about 3-4 seconds behind his teammate. And the Birds still trying to pose a threat to them. Cracavelli is really liking that pit. Fair enough. TGR up into 7th, Hans up into P8. Gum P9, Falcon P10. I'm going to assume he lost position to Gum earlier. In fact, he lost position to both Hands and Gum earlier. I do want to rewind, but I can't rewind all the time. So, looks like he may have had an incident earlier on and lost position to both of them, or maybe they both were just that fast. We can speculate. That is a car off the track. That is Autismus off the track. I'm going to assume that is to do with his tyre wear and a braking issue. Jumping forward though, Ian on another set of mediums. Is he going to go for the medium soft? I'm going to assume he is. It's not the longest pit loss time in the world on this track, so potentially a 2-stop could work for him. Be interested to see how it goes. We'll keep an eye on those tyres. He emerges P11 in front of Inorganic. Falcon still in P10. Gum P9 trailing from Hands in P8. TGR up the field in P7. And Crackavelli further up the track in P6 with plenty of gap in front and behind. The Birds taking that 5th position. Becker's taking 4th. Ollie in 3rd. Fudo in 2nd with both the Golden Subarus breathing down his neck. And I believe that is Damon now pitting after 11 laps off the medium tyres. We'll see what he emerges on as Fudo now takes lead of the race. As the two drivers ahead of him have started their pit stops. We'll see where Damon emerges in a short while. The Birds taking P4, Crackavelli taking P5. We'll see how many more drivers can profit from Damon's pit stop. As TJR taking P6, Hans taking P7, Gum taking P8. Falcon has lost a lot of gap to the drivers in front. I'm not sure what's happened. I'm going to assume that somewhere in Sector 3 he's been having issues. He's up into P9 though, as Ian now takes back P10. That is Damon now emerging on the racing hards. So he's going to go for the 1-stop as he aims to do the next 14 laps on those racing hard tyres in the Alfa Romeo. We'll see how that works for him. 4M Pusher, I believe, started the race on the racing hards and is still going 12 laps in. So maybe the hards will last and they'll do well. We'll see what happens. Airtown Jenna on very warm mediums 12 laps into this race. We'll see if he's also probably going to do a 1-stop. Because if you're going to do a 2, why would you extend the mediums more than you need to? Autism, a similar story. Both these drivers have to be struggling with tyre wear by this point. That front left is cooked on both of those cars. Inorganic emerging from the pits on mediums now, so I believe he was on the hards before. But he is so far adrift from the rest of the field. He has a lot of work to do. But he's just started his 12th lap on fresh mediums. They are not going to last that lap the rest of the race, surely. It will be interesting to see what happens to him. I'm going to assume, though, he needs to stop it on the time. Maybe he goes to the fastest lap, we'll see. Fudo with Ollie right on his bumper. Ollie having a look on the inside as we go down into turn 1. Does he go for it? Ollie. He goes wheel to wheel in turn 1. He makes it stick. Does Fudo go for the switchback? No, he does not. Ollie takes P1 from Fudo. The winner from the sprint race is again leading the race into lap 13 to make our way around turn 3 now. Great work from the Golden Subaru. This man has proven to be one of probably the fastest driver in this tier in every single session we've seen him in. He had that unfortunate incident in the wet, or just in the Red Bull Ring in general, but especially with the rain. But bar that, it's 1s and 2s on the board pretty much every single week. Ollie being probably deserving of a promotion at the end of this season, and we're only halfway through. The Birds in the Lexus, kind of just, laying low under the radar, keeping it going. Still on the racing hards, 13 laps in. Crackavelli in P4. I nearly said P14. I'm sorry, Crackavelli. That was really rude of me. Hans, his teammate, got a lot of gap to close in front, but not a lot of gap away behind him as a second Lexus comes around with Ian in tow on the fragile tyres. Those hard tyres on Gum are cooked, and Ian's on the new racing mediums, as we already noted plenty of times. Ian, one of the faster drivers in this tier, along with the 2 Golden Subarus. Beckers looks like he's pitted earlier, last lap. So emerged in lap 13 on the mediums. I'm going to assume down in P10 or P11. Has picked up a position into P9 on fresh mediums, but it'll be interesting to see if they can make the mediums last for the rest of the race. Becker's quite an aggressive driver when it comes to tyre wear, so we'll see if they can make it last. Push around and out P10, still on the hard tyres, but those hard tyres are looking very lively still. So potentially a hard to soft could be on the cards for Citroen. We'll see what happens as Gum comes into the pits on very worn hard tyres. Lost a couple of positions, I believe, from that pit already. We'll see where he emerges. Oh no, it's Birds who's up in front. TGR looks like we'll be maybe losing a position to Banana. No, he will not. Maybe he gained a position now. I'm not quite sure. Would be nice for me to know. Gum emerges from the pits in P13 with plenty of gap behind him, so no issue there. That looks like a twitch of oversteer from Autismus there. That front left is gone. Surely. I don't want to repeat of what we saw at the Nürburgring. I don't want another driver doing Formula Drift every turn. Go to the pits, please. Change those tyres. Change to mediums. You can do 11 laps, you'll live. Inorganic on the fresher mediums, so actually never mind, I was wrong about both Citroens doing a hard to soft. I forgot about that, and Falcon emerged from a pit stop in P15 on racing hards with again more of a gap in front of him. We'll see what happens later in the race as the rest of the pit stops come in. Ollie's still on that first set of racing hard, so potentially going for another hard soft strategy. Potentially, we'll see what happens, what he goes for. Building up quite a decent gap on Fudo, who's on a similar strategy, and the Birds is now in the pits after 14 laps on the hards. Cracavelli, similar story. Ian on the fresher mediums? Yes, pits in lap 12. Yeah, I keep forgetting what's happening. I'm like Dory, short-term memory loss. Damon taking up P4 now. Was leading the race by quite a comfortable margin earlier. We'll see if he can get back into that P1 after the rest of the pit stops come in. Of course, Ian also the only other driver in front of him to have pitted, so maybe it will be a P2 by the time Ollie and Fudo come out. We'll see what happens there. Becker's got a good gap to close in front to catch Damon, but also a good gap behind before Birds catches him. Potentially we'll see what happens. But for now they're doing alright. Airtown Jenner got a lot of gap in front, but a bit of a train forming behind. We'll see what happens there as that front bumper's looking kind of mangled. What have you been up to? That front left tyre though. Oh my god, it's gone. That is a penalty on... Oh no, that is a 3-second on Cracavelli. That is going to be a pit lines cutting. That is so unfortunate. These Ferrari drivers cannot catch a break. I swear, there's always something happening to either Cracavelli or Lord Hands or something. Ollie now finally pitting after 15 laps. So does Fudo right behind. Ian, you can see on your mini-map, just rounded the last corner on the straight. Will probably take that P1 back from him. We'll see what happens. So we're now 25 minutes into what will be a 40-minute-ish race. 3/5 of the way there. Ian, yes, taking P1 as Ollie and Fudo both in the box, and that is going to be Damon taking P2. Will we see another driver making their way past? Cracavelli now rounding the final corner, getting a nice little pass on Jenna there, but will lose it straight away. Yeah, a good pass on Jenna there, unfortunate. Let's jump forward. Okay, so Ollie has gone down to P3 from P1, but Fudo has gone down to P5 from P2, so Becker's just slotting in between his teammate and the one he was battling. Of course, Becker's pitting a couple laps earlier. But Becker's, of course, also a driver that does tend to shred their tyres a lot quicker than everyone else. We'll see whether or not they finish the race on these tyres and whether or not Fudo can make something work on the slightly fresher mediums. Ollie using all of the available track, kicking up a little bit of dust there through the exit turn 7. Going through turn 8 and turn 9 on our way down to the Dunlop corner of turn 10. Becker's following his teammate, and Fudo's still trying to get back into contention, into the battles with the Golden Subarus. We'll see what happens as Ian, the black Honda NSX driver, blacked out Honda NSX, leading the way currently from Damon in P2 by quite a comfortable margin. Jump forward, look at this. So we're following Damon now, rounding the final corner. Gold Subaru's in tow. But Ian already crossing the timing line to start lap number 17 as he only goes 0.15 slower than his fastest so far. Those mediums Still got a lot of life left in them. He will probably be fine on these tyres for the rest of the race. We're seeing now, looking at the track map, there's drivers everywhere, but not really many battles. There's a small train forming towards the final turn. We'll jump back onto them quickly as we see P2, P3, P4, P5 all making their way through turn 1 and Birds in P6 following them. TJR starting lap 17 with Gum in tow. Inorganic picking up a half-second penalty now in P9. We'll be serving that at the end of this lap. Cracavelli and Lord Hands, the two Ferrari drivers, potentially having a little battle here. No, nothing. Cracavelli being courteous to his teammate, not wanting to go for a big dive bomb into turn 1. Fair enough. What is that camera angle? There we go. Hello, pusher. And Falcon down in P13 has made up a couple of positions from his emergence into P15 from the pit stop. Airtown Jenner, I believe, has just pitted. He's out now onto softs, so potentially trying to make a one stop with the softs at the end work. Could be going for a faster lap. We'll see what happens. And Autism's bringing up the rear, also now on the soft tyres. I believe he was going hard to soft. I think that was the story between both him and Jenner. Tough to say though whether that's the right call, because of course they are so far adrift from the right field now that will a soft tyre in 8 or 9 laps really give them that much of a boost. And that is Falcon running slow. Let's rewind it a little bit, see what happened with Falcon. Hang on. So here we are going through turn 4, round 100R into turn 5 now again. Goes very wide on the exit of 100R. Back into the hairpin, rejoins the hairpin of turn 6, but goes so wide and then spins it. Oh no, that's so unfortunate for Falcon, and just struggling to get the traction to get back driving again. Loses a position to Jenner. Back down to P14 for Falcon. That's so unfortunate to see for him, as he's wanting to finish the race on these hard tyres. I'm not sure that's the tyres you want to be finishing on, but hey ho, that's really unfortunate for him down in P14. Showing some real flashes of speed earlier, but just really unlucky. Ollie making the move on Damon through into... Hang on, I'm going to rewind again. I don't like doing this all the time. So it looks like he picked up P2 on Damon in the previous lap. Damon getting the speed, going to the outside of Ollie, but Ollie just holding the inside as Damon has a little bit more speed through the corner, but not the line, and Ollie back is keeping P2. Becker's watching the fight unfold in front of his eyes as we're making our way at the start of lap 18. Damon going kind of wide from turn 3, but not losing too much pace, it seems like. Lost a bit of a gap in front now, but Becker's does have the opportunities close. Fudo got plenty of space in front and behind. It's not where he'd want to be, especially considering his battles before with Ollie. We'll see if he can make his way back. The Birds, similar story to Fudo. Lots of space in front, a lot more space behind. So has a couple options now. Could really push and try and get a position on Fudo, or maybe a couple on the drivers in front of him. Or just play it safe. Not risk anything, take a nice P6 finish. It's a good points. It's obviously not where you want to finish. You want to be finishing in first, but we'll see what happens. With Gum, his teammate, just behind in P7, being followed by the Peugeot of TJR in P8. You got 3 drivers of Inorganic, Hans and Cracavelli, all within a short space of each other. Inorganic currently holding the fastest lap with a 1:37.2. But we've seen a couple drivers already on the soft tyres now. Will they be able to take it from Inorganic? Get that extra fastest lap point. 4M Pusher in a completely different server at this point. So far away from anyone. Airtown Jenner, P13, after picking up that position on Falcon before, who's now in P14. And Autismus, hang on. Hold the phone, that's Falcon going very wide. And same as before. Oh, that's set him back so far. It hurts to see. It hurts to see my boy. It hurts to see. That is Falcon down into P15 as TJR goes into the pits. The second time this race, I believe. On medium tyres and no fuel. That means Pusher picks up P11. Airtown Jenner could potentially pick up P12 here. We'll see what happens as he crosses the timing line. Start lap 19. Does TJR get out in time? No, he does not. Airtown Jenner has got P12 from TJR after that pit stop. TJR staying on the mediums. Not sure what the pit strategy is for him. And Autismus bringing up P14, and Falcon unfortunately down in P15 with so much space in front and behind. You can see P1 almost about to be lapped as we start lap 20. 6 laps remaining for Ian, our race leader currently. You can see though in the distance behind the 2 golden Subarus, the Alfa Romeo and the Audi of Ollie, Beckers, Damon and Fudo chasing him down, but got a lot of space to close in 6 laps time. Makes his way around turn 1. Starting his 20th lap. Going about the same as his fastest lap so far. Ollie though picking up the fastest lap with 1:37.0. He just wants all the points, this guy. It's a bit greedy, isn't it? Anyway. Becker's the second golden Subaru, has a lot of space in front to close, but more importantly, Damon and Fudo have him in their sights. Can Beckers hold on to this podium? Will it be reminiscent of what we've already seen in the sprint race with the Ian Ollie Beckers combo in top 3, or will one of Damon or Fudo get a move on them both? Damon running on the slightly older hard tyres, Fudo on the medium tyres, and Beckers also on the older medium tyres. Beckers, I've mentioned a couple of times already, has shown to be a pretty aggressive driver when it comes to tyre degradation. Especially when you compare him to his teammate, who can make a set of tyres last a good couple laps longer. Beckers really does struggle with that. So went to the mediums before halfway through the race. It'll be interesting to see if Beckers keeps the life in the tyres for the next 5 laps. That is... Hold the phone. Fudo makes a pass on the inside of Damon on turn 13, next corner. Damon then takes the position back. Fudo right on the bumper. Is that contact? Fudo going on the inside. No, Damon catching a patch of grass, getting a little hip and shoulder from Fudo as he rejoins, and that is Damon facing the wrong way with Fuji in the background. I mean, there are worse places to be spun out, aren't there? But does lose position to Bird as he rejoins the track. Still got plenty of space behind him, but has just massively increased the space in front of him. Ian goes into the pits again. Forgot about this. He did a medium, didn't he? So we'll be fitting the soft tyres, I'm going to assume. But we'll lose what was a P1. It's now gone down to P5. Maybe having P6 challenging. Will Damon challenge Ian in turn 1? That is not going to happen as Damon goes wide. That's unfortunate for him, and Ian now on the soft tyres will comfortably keep that position from Damon. Just has a lot of space to catch up now. Was leading the race quite comfortably before he came off that second set of medium tyres back onto the soft tyres, but it was needed. As soon as he chose to do the double mediums, he knew he had to pit again. We'll see if he can make the gap, make up enough time on these last 5 laps. But Ollie currently holding the fastest lap again with a 1:36.8 now. Can Ian be quick enough to catch up, or will he be finishing here? Will that pit strategy have ruined him? Damon, you can see, still following with Gum behind now. Damon, really unfortunate for him, who was still just on the cusp of a podium position earlier, now sitting down in P6 in the midfield. Unfortunate for him. Seeing one driver in the pits again. Go jump forward. Who is that? That's Falcon again. Looks like Falcon may have boxed to retire the car. Again. Oh, it hurts. It hurts to see. I just want to see Falcon do well, man. TGR going wide through the hairpin turn through turn 7. 4M Pusher in P12 now on the racing soft tyres, has just come out of the pits, so is on fresh tyres. Can Pusher get the fastest lap in? We've seen now a couple drivers on those soft compounded tyres. Airtown Jenner P11 also on soft tyres. Yeah, no, that was not the one trying to make the softs last for longer. The other, hang on. Well, Chismus also something similar. Yeah, that front left is gone. Bold strategy. But it has not worked out for both either. But either Autismus or Airtown Jenner. Unfortunately for both these drivers. Hands now finishing in P10. Or now, sorry, driving in P10, only a couple seconds off from his teammate P9. Inorganic on the medium, Citroen on the medium tyres. Got a lot of space to catch up to Gum, as Gum has a look on the inside dim, doesn't go for it, follows him through turn 6, through turn 7 now. Ian in P5, trying to light the timesheets on fire as he goes 0.45 quicker than his fastest, but goes wide through turn 10, through the Dunlop corner, manages to recover it, but that is going to cost him a couple tenths of a second, which in this game means a lot, especially when you're trying to catch some very fast drivers. The gap in front to the Birds is closing, but not quick enough. We'll see Birds putting in 39s, 38s, 37s in recent laps. Fastest lap being a couple laps ago with that 1:37.9. See what time he can put in now as he crosses the timing line. Start lap 23 at 25. Puts in a 1:38.6. We're going to jump back to Ian, who's just set a 1:37.8. So is catching ever so slightly. That is his outlap though, I believe. So is it his outlap? I don't know. I might be wrong. Anyway, Ian has still got a lot of gap to close though, so we'll see if he can make it happen or what. That is Damon still leading from Gum, who's still trying to get a good move on him. But Gum, yes, on the faster set of tyres, but will they stay effective for long enough? Inorganic still though got a front row seat to this battle unfolding in front of it. Got Crackvelli still leading from Lord Hands, his teammate, as he goes slightly quicker than his best through turn 1 and turn 2. Now into 100R for both of the Ferraris. Pusher leading from TJR as both of those start lap 23, and that is Airtown Jenner jumping into the pits, also getting off that soft set of tyre. That has not helped him at all. Autismus has opted for another set of soft tyres, and Falcon still sitting in the pits. Ollie though about to lap, or potentially about to lap at least, Mr. Autismus, as we are making our way down the start-finish straight as we start our penultimate lap. 1.2 seconds off his fastest time. So those tyres are definitely out of their effective range now, but yeah, I don't think he needs them to be in his effective range. Look at the gap behind him. It is insane how much of a gap Ollie has and how good he is in this tier. Beck's his teammate, that's got to be 10 seconds at least, maybe 15 that Ollie is leading by. But Becker's, as we mentioned, those medium tyres are starting to get a bit cooked now. Fudo threatening as Fudo goes quickest through sector 1. Ian though, Ian has got the fastest lap point. He is putting the time sheets on fire, trying to make those softs work, but he's only got a lap and a half left to do it. Damon, unfortunate for him, was leading the race for so long, but that incident earlier at the final turn on the track dropped him down to P6 and still under threat from Gum. And now Inorganic to make our way through 100R, this battle for the midfield here. And then still both Ferraris having a little Sunday drive, got plenty of space in front and behind, and they do not want to put any pressure on each other. Maybe they'll have a little friendly battle, we'll see. Pusher and TJR starting the penultimate lap. Airtown Jenner now on the fresh softs, got a lot of space in front of him. Still though leading from Autismus, who did a similar strategy. And Ollie getting a nice view of the back markers as he comes round to start his final lap. Honestly, it doesn't seem like Ollie can ever do anything wrong in this tier, can he? As we cross 40 minutes as well. Making his way down into turn 1, Ollie proving to be one of the fastest drivers in this tier. The fastest driver in this tier by a margin. And Becker's, I don't think Ollie could have asked for a better teammate either. I don't think either of them could have asked for better teammates, because they're both P1 and P2 in every race we see them in. Pretty much. Fudo still trying to put pressure on Beckers. But Beckers is just keeping those tyres within the effective range for long enough. We'll see if anything happens on this last lap. If Fudo wants to make any final hero plays. For now though, Birds in P4 from Ian in P5, who's closing the gap, but it is not quite enough. I don't believe he'll be able to get that position by the end of the race, but the Birds' front left is getting cooked, just like pretty much, I mean, everyone else in this race, but see the gap about 3 or 4 seconds with only half a lap to close it. That is a pretty monumentous task that Ian has got left of him. Damon's still leading from Inorganic and Dumb, but Inorganic did make that position on Gum, so good work for him. Crackvelli and Lord Hand still fine. Pusher and TJR still where they were. Airtown Jenna and Autismus still where they were, but Autismus getting blue flagged for our race leader as he rounds the final corner a mile ahead of everyone else on the track. Give it up for your 2-time race winner at Fuji, sprint race winner, feature race winner Ollie, who finishes the race in P1. 41 minutes of racing, and he is ahead comfortably from his teammate in P2, who takes the checkered flag. It's a Subaru 1-2 again. Fudo taking P3 in the Audi. The Birds picking up a 4th position. Ian not quite getting it done with a little bit of front right damage to finish the race as he finishes in P5. Picks up the fastest lap. We'll see if anyone else can claim that from him. Damon in P6, still got Inorganic pressuring him, but it is not enough. This straight, yes, it's long, but it's not long enough for Inorganic to make a move as Damon finishes P6, Inorganic P7th, Gun P8th, Crackvelli getting as close to the stands as possible, as close to the pit wall as possible to finish P9, so does Hans in P10. I feel like I just really killed myself on that speech. Anyway, 4N Pusher, picking up P11 in the Citroen, TGR, trailing by a few seconds in P12. Airline Mike Santi clearly forgot Austria on the P14 in one of the races now. That you're right. No, I did mention it earlier. That was exigent circumstances though. Go on now. So yeah, it's 4N Pusher finishing P11th, P12 for TJR. Airtown Jenna rounding the final corner in P13. It was exigent circumstances, Mike, but you're right. Yeah, apart from Austria, Ollie and Beckers have been on fire the entire time this season. Airtown with a nice little spin across the finish line. Beautiful. And Autismus, the final finisher. And unfortunately, Falcon will not be finishing this race. And of course, our 2-point Harshulk with his lag issue right at the start of the race will not be finishing either. That is your feature race finishing positions. Mr. Ollie Efrig finishing with 41 minutes and 37 seconds of track time. Becker's his teammate a whole 10 seconds away. That is insane how far away Ollie was after all of that. Fudo only less than a second off from Becker's. Put up a good fight, but Becker's just kept the defense long enough. The Birds finishing P4. And Jan picking up the fastest lap, or Ian as he is in game, with that Honda NSX, finishing P5. The 2-stop, unfortunately, not working in his favour, but does pick up the extra fastest lap point, finishing only almost 25 seconds behind Ollie. Crilly a further 10 seconds afield from that, with Inorganic right on his bumper, and Mr. Dr. Hobo just behind that. Crackvelli finishing P9 with his teammate Lord Hands in P10. Dose 63 finishing P11, TGR P12, John Oradea P13, Autismus P14. Unfortunately, Falcon not finishing, electing to retire in the pits, and Harshulk with a lag issue right at the start of the race, DNFing. So that brings us to, if my stream deck will work, the rankings. Hell yeah. I love how my stream deck freezes every time I want to use it. That's so much fun. Anyway, by a whopping 48 points, Ollie is leading the championship. All 1s and 2s except for Austria feature. We don't talk about it. 4 fastest laps and 3 pole positions with 174 points after 5 rounds. Wow. What a lead. That puts Team WRX on 284 points. Helped, of course, by his teammate Deckers, who's currently in P4 with a similar finishing line, a couple more discrepancies, a similar-ish weekend in Austria, and a missed week at the Nürburgring. But both of the Golden Subarus really dominating this tier. Damon and Sleepy Fudo, though, split the two teammates in P2 and P3 on 126 and 125 points, respectively. And those top 4 drivers, the only drivers so far to pass 100 points. Gum, Mr. Dr. Hobo, and Alexis taken up P5 in Organic P6. And yeah, you can read the rest. So how do you get these graphics? Do you watch the results beforehand and make it? Or do you fill in the times and positions? Hans sends me screenshots of the start and finish, of the finish times for the quali, sprint, and feature, and I just have short enough memory that I forget about them when I commentate, honestly. And then this, I just put a screenshot on an overlay. It's all Photoshop. It's why it takes me so long to get to these, because it's all manual. I wish I could just chuck it into AI and it did it for me, but AI, hey ho, I probably could eventually. Anyway, that's your finishing positions. You see now 20 drivers have been racing. 12 cars have been on track. Still waiting to see a BMW M6. Maybe we'll see it in either Tokyo or Autopolis or in Abu Dhabi. We'll see what happens. But until then, I'll see you in Tokyo. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have the broadcast ready. We'll have the rest of the Japanese triple header soon for you. If you like the commentary, please leave a like. Do subscribe to the Airline YouTube channel. Keep up with all of the races that we put on here. And hopefully you'll hear me yapping again very soon. But until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for Tier 6 for providing us some awesome racing. And we'll see you next time at Tokyo Expressways. Goodbye.